What's up, guys? It's Counterside Global Patch Notes for April 5th, 2023. The first thing are the buffs. We are getting the Ethereum usage discount, which is my favorite one, and we are also getting the gear crafting discount. Okay, now onto the patch itself. We are getting the banner, 350 pulls. It will be a 5 pull a day for free every day for 10 days, right? Overall, I think the event itself usually is a little longer than 10 days, but you can only pull up to a total of 50 pulls, and most of the units on this banner are pretty good. I can't remember if it includes all the recruit on demand units. So again, like you can definitely pull some dupes here and there, or maybe units you are missing. So I always like them. They're even better now after the dupe system. Also, we're getting the event missions. Those will be standard stuff of use specific amount of credits, use specific amount of stamina, do the dispatch missions, or maybe probably do enough supply missions, craft enough gear, blah blah blah. Standard missions, and you'll get some rewards here and there. So usually they're worth doing, just for some extra rewards. Most of them will be basically just play the game, right? So. Another thing we're getting is the event shop. So every time you do any activity that spends Ethereum, you have a chance to get the chocolate egg, and then you can use those chocolate eggs to buy things from the shop. So we have 4 boxes. We have no idea what those boxes contain, but I'm assuming they will have some stuff like Ethereum, credits, kind of similar to New Year's eggs, I think, or whatever we had a while ago. So that's my assumption. And we also can buy a skin here other than boxes. Here's the skin. The skin itself looks actually pretty nice, honestly. I actually like it decently, so nice addition, nice skin. Okay, next thing is the punch-in event, also with Fragrant Spring theme. Nothing really to talk about here. 5 fusion cores, nice. Other than that, the rest is relatively whatever. Now onto the awakened units. We have a lot of reruns. The first rerun is Jake, awakened Jake. He is decent unit for both PvP and PvE. Not a must-have though. The only place where I see him being used very often, at least recommended very often, is dive 50. But I'll be honest, I did not pull Jake. I'm using Awakened Hilda instead, and I have no problems doing auto dive 50. I don't even skip the whole thing to the boss. I do the whole thing on auto and I'm fine. So so you can still do the dive 50 no problems without him. So up to you. If you like him, you can pull ahead, and it's definitely not a waste. I mean, again, he's a decent unit, so I think he's also recommended in one of the raids. I think Inhibitor. Pretty sure he's pretty good in Inhibitor raid as well. So, all right, on to the next awakened unit, Horizon. Now, this unit I like a lot. I like the design. I like the skills. It's just really cool unit. And if you're playing PvP, she definitely is a must-have. Granted, she is banned very often, so whenever she's banned, that that's gonna be rough using her. But whenever she's not, she's pretty much constantly used. And mostly the reason why is because she has the immunity for every 4 basic attacks. She does the sword enhance attack, and she gets then 3 seconds of immunity, so she cannot take any damage. And she's also flying unit on top of it, so even harder, or like less units that can damage her overall, right? So she can be a menace, like with some well-timed immortality, or not immortality, immunity. She can avoid big hits, and she just ends up very often living longer than she should. And she dishes a lot of damage. So again, like PvP, it makes sense why she's used so often. PvE wise, the only place I've really seen her used is the relic stages, and I'm pretty sure that's still the case after the new relic stages, after the origin update. I'm pretty sure there's still a team that uses 2 horizons to push out, so she can still be used there. But again, like she's not a big PvE unit. Although you can still definitely use her there, and I use her from time to time here and there because I like her. So okay, on to the next unit. It's Amy. Now Amy is purely PvP unit. I don't think I've seen her being used in PvE a single time in any content, so this is definitely a pure PvP unit. And in PvP and global, she is really strong right now. So at least from from what I saw. Again, I don't play too much PvP, so don't rely on me on PvP meta, but from what I understand, she's really strong in PvP. So okay, on to the next unit. It's Ministra. Now Ministra is probably the best PvE unit that we have right now. I would risk saying she probably is, yeah. I think minus Awakened Shinja, I would consider her the best PvE unit. Shinja kind of unfair because she's such a good supporter that you can fit her anywhere, and she will perform. So that seems a little unfair. But in terms of damage dealers, yes, like she's definitely the best. I think another unit you can maybe like argue for is the Awakened Jushu Yang, but he is good for different reasons because of his counterattack, and there's a lot of cool places where you can actually abuse him with his counterattack, mess up some bosses and stuff. So yeah, I mean, Jushu Yang is pretty fun to use actually, especially as a new player, where you just ignore mechanics or disable some mechanics or just make missions easier because of his counterattack. But pure DPS wise, she will be really good. She's really good single target, but she shines when there's a lot of enemies, and a lot of PvE stages like to throw a bunch of units, and yeah, she just shines in those stages. All right, next unit, I think this is the last awakened one. Is the Replacer Queen. Now Replacer Queen, I like her decently. I like her design, and her skills are pretty decent, but she's not that amazing in terms of usefulness for PvE or PvP. There's just like so many other units that you can use that can fulfill similar role or are just straight up cheaper, that she just does not really fit. Like, she was a good unit for raids whenever she released, but since then we've had so many other units that I don't see her in raid setups anymore, because there's just better ways to give the damage amplification to the boss. There's just cheaper options. And for PvP, I see her from time to time in PvP, but it's mostly when a lot of like snipers, meta snipers like Xiaolin are banned, and you know, you need a sniper in your team, and then sometimes people pick her since she has this annoying stun for the backline, I think. So you can still definitely use her here and there, but she's not super meta. Okay, on to the regular SSRs. Mika, I'll be honest, never used her, never pulled for her. To me, she looks pretty whatever. I don't see anyone using her either. I don't think I've seen anyone recommending her or using her in any content before. Not saying she's horrible, but yeah, she definitely not meta. You have better options. So unless you're super simp for her, then I would say skip. The next unit is Edith Twins. Again, just like Mika and a lot of SSR units in this game, unfortunately, very whatever. I, again, don't think I've seen anyone using her or recommending her. I never pulled on her either, so just skip. There is some caveat with this one because she will be getting rearm. That has been announced and confirmed, from what I remember. So she will eventually get a rearm. It might be next month, maybe. That would be my assumption, next month. But we'll see. Now, Lanchester. Cool unit. I like her design. Unfortunately, just like the rest of them, not really meta. Not really that useful. I can at least talk a little more about her because I know her kit. So she basically is anti-buffer. So she basically removes buffs from your units or from enemy units. I think she also has a buff block. Don't quote me on that, but I know for a fact she does remove buffs. That's her whole role, but in PvE, buff removal is not really needed. So for PvE, she's very whatever. And for PvP, she can remove it, but there are also buffs she cannot remove at all. And she's kind of like easy to kill too. So most of the time, she just ends up doing nothing for you. Can you force her? Sure. But yeah, for the most part, not really unit I would recommend pulling for, unless you like the design. Okay, so challenge stages. Special equipment for the 3 units we just talked about. Well, guess what? If those units are not good, then you don't care about the special equipment either. Yeah, I mean, it's that simple. So, not gonna even bother talking about it more. Okay, next thing are the improvements and changes to the task force plan. So, they are lowering the requirements for the those like beginner missions for new players. I think this is the counter case, right? Yeah, counter case unlock mission. So actually, task force plan, counter case unlock mission requirement for employee growth plan. I'm assuming those are counter cases. So how much, like how many counter cases you have to open? Pretty sure those are the missions. So they lowered them by quite a lot actually. The last one is 80. They lowered it to 30. Yeah, sure. It doesn't matter to me that much. Like I didn't have problems with my new account with those missions, but hey, any missions that are getting lowered, requirements that are getting lowered in those missions is fine with me for new players. You know, the lower they are, the faster you can do it, the faster you're done with those missions, and you got your reward. So I'm fine with that. Now, there's been some bug fixes. doesn't matter too much. And then employee, right, so Dorothy and Leona are added to the general employee rotation. That's about it for the patch notes. Very, quiet patch notes. I don't think, is this the maintenance one? I think it is the maintenance one. So the next patch notes probably will not be that big either, but patch notes in 2 weeks should be big. And I think that's when we should be getting a lot of the content that was promised for this month. So yeah, stay tuned for the patch notes next week and in 2 weeks, because those ones will be the meaningful ones. But that's it from me for today, and I'll see you next time. Peace.